Meanwhile, we're back on the railways, and of course, efficiency without purpose is just austerity. So here's Noel pointing out that, essentially TransPennine Express was saying, well, our fuel costs have gone up, which we had not factored in, and we're going to have to impact on our service quality if we have to pay for that within our existing budget. Government, the whole point of view is that you cover... Oh, and by the way, we're government because TP is DFTO. Government, your whole point of view is that you cover the external shocks, not us. Right. Insert Padme and Anakin meme. No. The government refused to bail out the train company and said, no, you can just swallow that extra £50 million within your budget. So if you're wondering why your train is more dirty, why there isn't a catering service, or why there don't appear to be any staff anywhere, that's why. So that's good. So Noel pointing out that it still feels like GBR is about net subsidy reduction rather than revenue growth, despite all the grandstanding to the opposite. As I always point out, efficiency without purpose is just austerity. Relevant to this is that train operators' annual diesel spend nears $475 million amid electrification call. This is a really interesting bit of work that has been done by the relaunched campaign to electrify Britain's railways. Right now, it's been relaunched right now. There's some graphics that I haven't had time to put in here, actually, folks, but I'll maybe put them in the bonus for you all to look through, right? The relaunched campaign says its analysis of diesel prices... Oh, I should say, the price of diesel used by train operating companies has increased by 40% year on year, a study has found. Basically, it shows the annual diesel bill for passenger services will be more than $475 million in 2026-7, up $132 million on the year before. It said that work to electrify through to Sheffield, had it been completed by late 2020, as was proposed by the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition government, then $66 million would have been saved on traction energy costs alone.
It's the whole cutting the green crap thing again, they found that actually if we hadn't cut the green crap, we would have saved however much it was.
Quite a substantial amount of money.
It's that all over again. It's just like, well, this will save money. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't.
This is bad, folks. Leo Murray, who's a friend of the show, past guest and co-author of the report, said, our figures show just how much our diesel dependence has cost us in money that leaves the country for petro states rather than money that could be invested in better railways or cheaper tickets for passengers. The railway is a glaring blind spot in the government's efforts to get Britain off the roller coaster of fossil fuel markets and onto clean homegrown power. The study also says the consumption of electricity by rail freight is half of what it was 15 years ago, a statistic the campaign group described as one of the most damning illustrations of Britain's problems with rail electrification. That's right, we are consuming half the electricity now than we were 15 years ago for rail freight.
Wasn't there that story a while ago, and I'm not actually sure what the latest on this is, that story about like some freight operator switching from electric trains to diesel trains because it was cheaper, because the electricity rates were so... I mean, what are we playing at?
Yeah, what are we doing here, folks? It's bad. On the subject, of course, of contracting the railway, here's a story from a little while ago. Railway could face reduced services and subsidies, Transport Secretary warns. That's really nice. Kind of a sort of a 1960s era cutting to attempt to fill a hole. It's like you can't dig your way out of a hole, folks. It doesn't work like that. Look, yes, Avanti West Coast are literally cutting 12% of services over the summer to save money.
I think Thameslink are cutting a few services as well. It's just...
The empty services are the one... Keep the full services full. If you reduce the overall appeal of the timetable, fewer people would take the train. It is as simple as that, and it's a lesson we've learned for the last 40 years that we seem to have all of a sudden unlearned. All of this stuff is just going to fuel the argument that that nationalisation is bad, rather than the fact that this government are just using nationalisation as a branding exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What I don't get about this is that the government has said so many times that, like, with nationalisation, what we're going to do is we're going to let the railways sort of run themselves. It'll be an arm's length body and it won't be micromanaged by ministers. And then they go and do this.
It's staggering.
What happened to we're going to let the people who know what they're doing do what they know how to do, and we won't have, Treasury / DFT ministers / civil servants demanding things like this.
This
is the whole thing GBR was meant to prevent. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Netherlands has introduced a €49 monthly ticket, the Deutschland ticket style thing again, for unlimited nationwide train travel, as a response to soaring energy costs. So, there's a choice. Soaring energy costs, you can double down on car dependency, or you can provide better alternatives. We, of course, have decided to just screw everyone over, and there's a double win here. More people travel by train, you're solving the energy crisis and also a cost of living crisis, and also you're increasing the revenue that the railways are earning outright. So why can't we do that sort of thing, for God's sake? No, not possible. We can't do that. What we can do, though, is let Palantir come in and run bits of the railway network. We can let SpaceX be in charge of our Wi-Fi through Starlink. Really good that we're embedding groups like Palantir. Palantir, of course, absolutely a key player in Israel as part of Israel's genocide against Palestine. And then SpaceX, Starlink, well, SpaceX is Musk. And so Musk could, at the drop of a hat, given that he is currently advocating for Restore Britain, a fascist party to take over government, it seems strange to then give him a huge contract to run the Wi-Fi of our trains and whatever else we'll be carrying on that Wi-Fi, because it's not just passenger information. It will all, passenger, accessing, watching Disney Plus on the train. It's also the fact that we'll probably be putting non-safety critical train information on that Wi-Fi network as well. Feels like a bad idea.
Potentially like government secrets as well, because there's this whole thing about number 10 North, which will that happen or not, I don't know. But if it does, then, a lot of ministers and people
will
traveling
using
back and
Wi-Fi
forth
on
between...
trains, yes.
Yeah, right? So
and already doing,
I'm sure we shouldn't worry about that at all.
I wouldn't worry. Look, it's not... There's been some good data. In the world of train data, there's been some good news recently. The Wi-Fi thing here is like, we do want better Wi-Fi. Actually, it'd be better if we just had better 5G across the whole country, frankly. But anyway, right, Wi-Fi on trains, fine. Southeastern have done some really interesting stuff here. If we're talking about good data stuff, John Till et al. They've become the first train operator in the UK to automatically communicate planned timetable changes to passengers at stations on a service-by-service basis, a thing that I thought they already did, frankly.
That is surprising.
Yeah. So not a huge amount of money, about £250,000 spent on updating the customer information system. It means that customers will now see exactly what's different about their journey, such as the trains earlier, later, cancelled, through tailored messages on screen and the announcements. Producing this level of detail previously required extensive manual work and was basically limited to where there was a change of 2 minutes or more. But the upgraded system means that the whole thing is totally automated. So you avoid the risk of updates being missed. You reduce the time taken from kind of days to seconds in terms of this information kind of filtering through. And so, timetable changes are automatically compared, assessed, with clear messages generated for each revised service explaining what has changed. So you also get station-by-station reports that can be produced very quickly, helping teams respond to questions from customers. So this is good, right? This is a good thing. There are a few little gems that are happening around the network. I want to be talking to Alex Hornby to talk about the Northern Railway's growth targets, which have been quite interesting to follow as well. So there is some stuff going on. There is some good stuff going on out there if we're out there able to actually pay attention and look. Something else snuck through thanks to Freedom of Information request. While we're on the subject of our railways, let's just briefly talk about the way that GBR is going to brand itself in Scotland and Wales, because there's this little official sensitive little PDF that's been circulating, which is not very official looking, but this is basically the latest we know about how branding will work. So this is interesting, really, because it's going, look, GBR will be a unified master brand with a single brand being used nationally. And then there's this horrible format that they're using of like using the Railnatter YouTube video naming format.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need this. You probably don't need this. You've got the double arrow. But the idea that we're still using these letters in the identity is just dismal as hell to me. Anyway, so, fine. Network Rail's brand will be retired as it will adopt GBR's and potentially include its business unit names with this bit. So, okay, fine, that makes some sense. So you might have GBR Engineering Services. Yeah, fine. This note reflects informal discussions between the UK Government Department for Transport and counterparts in Scottish and Welsh governments. So the existing brands, so the ScotRail Services and Caledonian Sleeper Services and TFW Rail Services are not in the scope of work. So the services and their branding are devolved and will remain so. So that's good, right? Good. Train services primarily serving England would be branded as GBR and labelled with their region name reflecting their business unit. Fine. Scotland business unit. So there are elements of So basically, like the Network Rail stuff that's happening in Scotland right now would be branded not with the BR arrow in Scotland's Railway, but with the convoluted GBR logo with Scotland's Railway there. So just a horrible repetition, but that's what that will look like. Be used on road vehicles.
Wait, so I've just realised it says Scotland's Railway twice.
Yes, it will say Scotland's Railways twice. That's right, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's really good. It's really well thought through. This will be primarily used on road vehicles, track maintenance depots. It will also be applied at Waverley and Glasgow Central, though. What are we doing here? And on PP worn by current Network Rail staff, depending on costs and so on and so on and so on. So that's Scotland. What about Wales, though? Well, they'll be the same. What I love is that the GBR, Cymru ar Gororau, Wales and Borders. So that's the whole thing that will be the identity there. This whole bit of text will be the GBR branded identity. Have you heard of just using the double arrow? Because it doesn't have language on it, and therefore it is multilingual. No, they have not. So that huge mess here... Then by the way, these look like they've put a text box over like their actual mock-up, by the way. So there is a real mock-up behind here that they've kind of redacted, which is a bit of a shame. I wonder, after the break, or rather outside of the episode, I'll maybe go into the PDF and work out whether I can just delete that if it's an element they've drawn.
That would be so funny.
It would be funny.
That would be. Oh, I swear, wasn't that a thing they did with like the Epstein files as well? Like you could just like highlight the text oh my goodness.
Let's do that. Let's do that right now, shall we? So I can confirm. Sadly, it's just a bitmap image. They have correctly rasterized it down. So that gets rid of our fun, folks. I'm afraid to say. But anyway, so there we go. A bit of an update on branding for anyone who's been paying attention to these things. Now,
it's just so convoluted, isn't it?
It really is. Like, yeah, it's such an unnecessary
I have to
mess.
say, reading that, I was just thinking of that one block they added to Minecraft that had the really long. It was like waxed, lightly weathered cut copper stairs, and it's just it was like 27 characters or something. It's just like every other block is just like stone, and then you've got. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, this is convoluted is the right way to describe
yes,
this. It's just like you have the double arrow. It is right there. Right, talking of rail links, slightly abstract little thing that sits in amongst some of the other kind of NEF, New Economics Foundation research that's been going on, but a very interesting bit of work showing that the, basically there's kind of looking at the changing face of domestic tourism. So in 2025, when we had the complete data, the Southwest actually lost its crown as Britain's favourite domestic summer holiday region. So, there isn't a huge amount of data, reliable data going hugely far back, but it looks likely this is the first time it's happened in decades. It also lost the lead on total tourist spending, but it does cling on to the most total nights spent. The Southwest is losing out in a wider shift favouring trips abroad and city breaks, particularly to London and the Northwest, so to Manchester. Longer stays in more rural and seaside destinations are suffering from a harsh combination of domestic cost rises and cheap international competition. So you have a really nice thing here showing the Southwest here dropping down the rankings and being beaten by London, the Northwest, and the Southeast more broadly. Scotland dropping or kind of shifting a little bit because London has shot right up. City breaks to London have become popular. Now, if we think about people's ability to travel around, suddenly you start thinking, wait a minute, transport is pretty good in London. I wonder if that's a factor. It's not bad in the Northwest, and it's not bad in the Southeast. I wonder if that's a factor in this. We can see that, the northeast of England continues to be not hugely popular. Big drop for Yorkshire and the Humber, again, with its not great links. So, interesting. Wales and Scotland kind of just droppings because London has been shifted up, but otherwise not much change. So, some interesting statistics about the movement of people around the country there. Considering that leisure travel is supposedly the saviour of the railways right now, this sort of data is the sort of thing that should be factoring into strategic planning across the country. And of course, we have to say the metro cars retire at long last. Up on the Tyne Metro, they've gone. They've all now officially. There are no scheduled uses of the metro cars planned. Again, they might find their way out here and there in disruption for possibly like another 6.
Yeah, that's months. Like what happened with the Class 455s. Like they had the big farewell tour, and then they were still running like weeks and months after they were supposedly withdrawn.
That's what to expect. The thing that's most sad, of course, about these disappearing is the fact that there is no longer a seat at the front that you can sit in. Look at them, though. They're gorgeous. These funny little buggly things. These are... There's a fantastic poem by a local poet written about these things that I wish I could give you in full, but I just strongly recommend that... well, basically, like, it's... These things are evocative of what the Tyne Metro gave us, which is, it was a light metro system. It was really quite impressive what it's given us. Very iconically branded, and of course delivered as part of an integrated transport system that has been obliterated by bus deregulation, that is hopefully going to be reassembled again so that we can get back to a place where these work as part of the wider whole, including lines like the Ashton Blythe line, the Northumberland line needs to be reinstated as well. So yeah, it's exciting, it's sad, it's happy. The 555s are a good train. But there's something melancholic about sort of bidding farewell to these.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yes, it's nice to sort of spend a moment, think about their 46 years of service, their 1.7 billion customer journeys, and their 500 million kilometers as a fleet. But yeah, Friday 26th of June, that was the end for the 599s. Farewell.